Good afternoon, friends. So I am going to start today the teaching of our botany paper 6. So I think we are aware of our botany syllabus for paper 5 and paper 6 for the semester 3rd. So summary of botany syllabus of paper 6 is we are having two units, major units in botany paper 6. The first major unit of botany paper 6 is plant water relationship and mineral nutrition. This is the first unit, major unit, plant water relationship, and mineral nutrition is the another sub unit. Then second unit of botany paper 6, photosynthesis is the first unit and growth and development is the another unit. So these two units we are going to study in the semester 3rd under the heading of plant physiology paper. Under the heading of plant physiology paper. So I am going to start the sub-unit number 2. From unit number 2, name of this sub-unit is growth and development. This growth and development sub-unit includes these articles. One by one we are going to discuss these articles in growth and development topic. Firstly, we are going to discuss introduction of this topic, growth and development. Then I am going to discuss definition of the term growth, then regions of the growth and growing points, then phases of growth, then growth curve and grand period of growth, then plant growth regulators, and final article in this growth and development topic is plant responses to light and temperature. So under the heading of this plant responses to light and temperature, we are going to study what is the effect of light, especially in the process of reproductive growth. It can be studied under the heading of photoperiodism. Role of light in the reproduction process or reproductive growth can be studied under the heading of photoperiodism. And effect of temperature. Specifically, the low temperature plays important role in the initiation of flowering or reproductive growth, and effect of this low temperature in the process of reproductive growth is studied under the heading of fertilization. That means under the heading of plant responses to light and temperature, we are going to study photoperiodism and fertilization. So I think you might have studied in 12th standard also some aspects of this term, photoperiodism as well as fertilization. So we are going to start the introductory part of this topic, growth and development. So we are aware of all living organisms take part in the process of growth. That means growth and development are the important characteristics of all living organisms. It will be plant, it will be animal. As far as plant is concerned, plant shows growth and development process throughout its life. That means growth of the plant is reported throughout the life of the plant. So when actually growth of the plant starts, so growth of the higher plant actually starts from zygote stage. So when formation of zygote takes place, so theoretically we know zygote is the product of fertilization. That means when male gamete unite with female gamete, formation of single diploid cell is taking place, and this single diploid cell after union of male and female gamete after fertilization is commonly called as zygote. this zygote single cell structure. Later on, under those successive cell divisions, mitotic cell divisions are going on in this zygote and formation of multicellular embryo takes place. So in case of seed bearing plants, this embryo is located in the seed. When seed gets suitable conditions for germination like moisture, temperature and air, seed starts its germination or sprouting, and first initial part of the seed is commonly, germinating seed is commonly called as radicle. So starting from this development of radicle up to the maturity of the plant, formation of flowers, fruits, seeds, etc. Growth is continuously occurring. Growth is continuously occurring. That means the first emergence of the radicle is responsible for development of the root system. Then plumule emergence is responsible for development of the shoot system. That means these two parts after germination of seed, radicle and plumule, are responsible for development of different organs of the plants. Underground organs are developed from radicle, that is root system, and aerial organs of the plants like shoot axis, further branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, they are developed on the aerial stem axis. That means shoot system and root system is developed after germination of the seed, after the germination of the seed. So the growth of the plant is a continuous process. That means emergence of radicle means growth, emergence of plumule means growth, development of the roots means growth, development of shoot system means growth, development of branches means growth, development of leaves means growth. That means all these things are happening throughout the life of the plant, and basis for these things or basic reason for these things is the cell division process. That means this cell division process takes place starting from this zygote stage and continues later on. And this cell division is the basis of further growth and development of the plant. That means dividing cells are responsible for growth and development of the plant. That means after development of radicle and plumule, further organs are developed in the form of shoot, root, branches, leaves, etc. in successive intervals. At successive intervals. That means this cumulative effect of cell division, cell differentiation, tissue formation, development of different parts of the plants takes place under the process of growth. So growth is a very complex process because it involves so many things. So I have already told you what happens actually during the process of growth. What happens actually during the process of growth. That's why this process is very complex one. It involves many changes. That means as far as the total overall growth, if we observe in case of flowering plants as well as higher plants, there are two types of growth: vegetative growth and reproductive growth. That means vegetative growth means the development of some extent of root system, shoot system, some branches, leaves. All these vegetative organs are produced during the vegetative growth. That means vegetative part of the plant body is developed due to the activity of primary meristems. So these primary meristems are nothing but the apical shoot apex and root apex, which contains meristematic tissue zone, which meristematic tissues are responsible for addition of another tissues, permanent tissues. These permanent tissues, after tissue differentiation take part in formation of different organs. That means the vegetative growth involves only formation of vegetative parts of the plants, and after some extent of vegetative growth, reproductive growth begins. The conversion of vegetative buds which are located in the axillary positions of the leaves at the terminal position of the branches. These buds, vegetative buds, are converted into reproductive buds. So after the development of first bud, reproductive bud, the growth is commonly called as vegetative growth. And after formation of first bud, flower bud, the reproductive growth begins. So after completion of some extent of vegetative growth, reproductive growth starts. And later on, in case of flowering plants, once the reproductive growth begins after completion of vegetative growth, in particular season, each and every flowering plant bears or produces the flowers. So another physiological things are also responsible morphological changes, anatomical changes, physiological changes. So many changes are going on during the process of growth. That means, in the simple language, we can say what is the meaning of this term growth. So growth is nothing but permanent change in size and volume of the plant body. Plant body, that means during this permanent change in the plant body or plant organs, the dry weight also increases. That means dry weight of root, dry weight of shoot, dry weight of branches, dry weight of flowers, fruits also increases during the process of growth. That means change in size and increase in dry weight. These are the two important aspects of the growth. So then we shall see what is the actual physiologically how we can define the growth. Definition of this term growth. So we can define this growth physiologically. In the physiological point of view, we can define this term growth. Growth can be defined as permanent and irreversible change in size or weight or area of whole organism or single organ or single cell, which is accompanied with increase in dry weight. That means this change in size and increase in dry weight occurs during the process of growth. That means change in size and increase in dry weight. These are the two important aspects of the growth. So what is the meaning of the term development? I have told you earlier what is the meaning of growth. I have defined this term growth. Permanent and irreversible change in size, area, volume, which is accompanied with increase in dry weight. This is the simplest definition of growth. Then development. What is the meaning of this term development? So during the process of development, what happens? The series of changes found in organisms throughout the life cycle. That means initiation of radicle, initiation of plumule, development of seedling, development of branches, development of root branches, development of the leaves, development of the flowers. So all these things are happening. Morphologically we can visualize, we can observe these changes. So internally also, physiological changes are also going on in the single cell as well as in the particular organ also. That means all these changes, physiological changes, histological changes, morphological changes are going on continuously throughout the life of the plant. That means this series of changes found in the organism throughout the life cycle is commonly called as a development. So this is the meaning of the term growth and development. Then we shall turn over the next article, next point in this topic, regions of growth. So growth of the higher plant is restricted to the growing regions. So these growing regions, what are these growing regions? Growing regions are generally apical regions of the roots and shoots. Commonly we call these regions as a root apex and shoot apex. See, this root apex and shoot apex contains meristematic regions. So this root apex and shoot apex containing group of meristematic cells. That means meristematic cells means the cells which are having ability to divide constantly. So these zones, root apex zone and shoot apex zone, contains dividing cells. So dividing cells in this root apex and shoot apex divides constantly throughout the life of the plant and adds the derivatives, adds the new cells. So these new cells which are added by the meristematic regions or root apex and shoot apex regions is responsible for increase in length of the shoot axis as well as increase in root axis, length of root axis. The growth which is taking place due to the activity of apical meristem is commonly called as primary growth. So in addition to this apical shoot apex and root apex meristems, another meristems are also located at the internodal portion as well as at the basis of the leaves. These meristems are generally called as intercalary meristem. So these intercalary meristems are the parts of apical meristems, and these intercalary meristems are also responsible for increasing length of the internodes as well as increasing length of the leaves. So these primary meristems which are located at the apical regions of the shoot and root in the form of shoot apex meristem, root apex meristem and intercalary meristems located at the nodal regions as well as at the base of the leaves, they are responsible for primary growth. So another kind of growth is also occurring or taking place in the roots as well as shoots. So this type of growth is commonly called as secondary growth. So another kind of meristems which are located at the lateral position of the stem and root in dicot plants as well as in gymnospermic plants. These meristems are commonly called as lateral meristems. So these lateral meristem, what are the examples of these lateral meristems? Quark cambium, vascular cambium, these are the examples of lateral meristems. So after some extent of primary growth, plant needs more mechanical tissue. Plant needs more conducting tissue. At that time, the vascular cambium produces secondary tissue in the form of secondary xylem and secondary phloem. So constantly this vascular cambium is responsible for addition of secondary xylem and secondary phloem at its inner and outer side. And due to this, girth or diameter or thickness of the root as well as thickness of the shoot system or stem axis increases. So this increase in girth or diameter or thickness of the root as well as stem in dicot and gymnospermic plants is commonly called as secondary growth. Secondary growth, that means secondary growth and primary growth. These two types of the growths are occurring due to the activity of meristematic zones or meristematic tissues which are located at the apical regions, intercalary regions as well as lateral regions. That means these growing points are responsible for addition of the new tissues. So these new tissues after tissue differentiation take part in formation of organs. Different types of organs like root system, shoot system, leaves, branches, flowers, fruits, etc. All these organs are formed of or produced due to the cell division activity of these primary meristems as well as secondary meristems. Then we are going to discuss the phases of growth. So if we observe the shoot apex and root apex, if we take the LS and observe under microscope, dissecting microscope, we can easily differentiate the different zones in the root apex as well as shoot apex in the form of cell division zone, cell enlargement zone and cell maturation zone. So these three zones are there in shoot apex as well as root apex. Dividing cell zones are there, three zones are there: cell division zone, cell enlargement zone and cell maturation zone. So these three zones are corresponding to the phases of growth. So if we observe the phases of growth in case of single cell, dividing cell, each and every dividing cell undergoes these three phases of growth. Namely cell division phase, cell enlargement phase and cell maturation phase. So each and every dividing cell which is present in the meristematic tissue or apical regions of shoot and root undergoes cell division process. So what happens actually during this cell division process? We are well known about cell division process, mitotic type of cell division. So these dividing cells shows peculiar characters. These cells are compactly arranged, intercellular spaces are totally absent in these cells. The cell walls of these cells are very thin, made up of cellulose. These cells contain prominent nucleus, dense cytoplasm and very important character of this cell. All these meristematic cells are having ability of cell division. The physiological activity or metabolic activity of this cell, meristematic cells, is maximum as compared to the permanent cell. Due to having ability of cell division process, these cells undergo cell division. So what happens actually during cell division? We know very well. We have studied already in 11 mitosis type of cell division, mitotic type of cell division. During mitosis, what happens? Doubling of the nuclear material, that means chromosome, takes place, as well as cytoplasm which is present in the parent cell. It is also equally distributed, and two cells are produced which are called as daughter cells. So from one parent cell, dividing cell, two cells are produced. These two cells are daughter cells. Out of these two daughter cells, one cell remain permanent cell, one cell remain meristematic cell, and another cell becomes permanent. That means 50% cells after cell division process of meristematic cells remains meristematic. and remaining 50% cells are undergoing the process of further cell differentiation, maturation, etc. That means permanent cells are formed from this 50% cells. That means cell division is the initial or first stage in the phases of the growth of cell. Then second phase of growth is cell enlargement phase. So which changes are going on during this cell enlargement phase? So during this cell enlargement phase, what happens? The vacuole formation takes place inside the cell. Then absorption of more amount of water starts in this cell. Cell absorbs more amount of water due to osmosis. Size of the vacuole goes on increasing. Then osmotic pressure of the cell increases. Osmotically active substances increases its amount. Vacuole increases its size, and due to increase in size of the vacuole, due to increase in amount of osmotically active substances, due to increase in amount of water in this cell, the osmotic pressure of the cell increases. Due to increase in osmotic pressure, what happens? The turgor pressure of the cell also increases. So due to increase in turgor pressure, it creates the wall pressure. That means due to increase in size of vacuoles and increase in turgor pressure, which creates the wall pressure, the cell walls of the cells get stretched or elongates. At the same time, the addition of new cell wall material or deposition of new cell wall material also takes place during this phase, and cell elongates enormous amount. That means enlargement of the cell takes place due to these changes. Then third phase of the growth of the cell is commonly called as cell maturation phase. So what happens actually during this process of cell maturation? During cell maturation phase of the cell growth, this cell acquires specific size, specific shape, and becomes permanent. All components, for example mitochondria, chloroplast, they are synthesized. Cell acquires specific size and shape. It attains specific size and shape. That means many histological changes, means anatomical changes as well as physiological changes takes place during this maturation phase. That means after cell maturity, this mature cell undergoes differentiation. Meaning of the differentiation, you put any organ, for example leaf epidermis is having particular type of cells. Below the epidermis there is palisade tissue. In case of dorsiventral leaf, below the palisade tissue there is a spongy tissue. In the central region there is a bundle sheath. Inside the bundle sheath there is a xylem and phloem tissue. So different types of tissues like conducting tissues, mechanical tissues, as well as protective tissues in the form of epidermis, cuticle, various types of appendages. So these different tissues are developed: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, xylem, phloem. So these are the various types of tissues are there. So these tissues are produced from these mature cells. So when cell becomes mature, they take part in tissue differentiation. That means after maturity of the cell only tissue differentiation begins, and after tissue differentiation, formation of organ starts. That means maturation of cells and differentiation of tissue. Differentiation of tissue is controlled by some external and internal changes, or internal and external characters or reasons. So what are these internal and external reasons which are responsible for differentiation and maturation of the tissue? We know very well. What are these internal factors and external factors? So internal factors in the form of genetic factor, in the form of nutritional factor, in the form of hormonal factor. That means particular types of hormones are synthesized which are controlling the process of growth. The genetic makeup of the organism, which is located in the nucleus, this genome or genetic makeup also controls growth and development process. That means growth hormones, genetic makeup, as well as nutritional factor. Nutritional factors are also responsible for controlling the growth. So as far as external factors are concerned, that means climatic factor. So these climatic factors, different types of climatic factors are also controlling the process of tissue differentiation as well as maturation of the cells. That means after this cell maturation process, tissue differentiation process, organ formation begins and further plant growth is continued. That means this cell division phase, cell elongation phase or enlargement phase and cell maturation phases. When cell passes through these three phases, the mature or permanent cells are produced, and these permanent cells or permanent tissues are taking part in the organization of plant body. So this is this article, phases of growth. Then remaining part, growth curve and grand period of growth and plant growth regulators, we are going to discuss in our next lecture. Thank you.